3.5 million documents, hundreds of names, and some of them nobody saw coming. When the Epstein files were unsealed, the world expected the usual suspects: politicians, billionaires, power players, and yes, many of those names showed up exactly where people thought they would. But buried inside those millions of documents were names that stopped people cold: entertainers, athletes, intellectuals, people whose public image had absolutely nothing to do with what allegedly appeared on those pages. This is not about rushing to judgment. This is about looking at what the documents actually say, what the people involved have actually responded, and letting you decide what to make of it all. Because the more you read, the more complicated this story gets. Let us start with someone who made a career out of making things disappear and is now desperately trying to make a scandal disappear with them. David Copperfield is one of the most famous magicians in the world. Sold out shows, decades of fame, a private island in the Caribbean, and now a very serious problem. According to the released Epstein files, Copperfield allegedly left 16 different voicemail messages for Jeffrey Epstein between 2004 and 2005. 16. In one of those messages, he reportedly referred to himself as Magic David, suggesting the two shared a casual, familiar relationship. His legal team pushed back immediately. They claimed that any messages left would have been made by staff responding to Epstein's requests for show tickets, and that Copperfield was never a personal friend of Epstein's. But that explanation reportedly runs into a problem, because the documents describe Copperfield as a friend of Jeff, not a ticket buyer, not a business contact, a friend. And it gets significantly more complicated from there. An FBI memo connected to a separate 2007 investigation on Copperfield reportedly states that a clear connection between Copperfield and Epstein exists that requires further investigation to determine if they both shared a predilection for minors. That is an FBI memo, not a tabloid, not an anonymous tip. A federal law enforcement document. The same investigation reportedly found evidence that Copperfield had trained his employees to identify young women in the audience of his shows. Those women were allegedly separated from anyone they came with and brought backstage. He reportedly kept a personal notebook tracking each encounter. Shortly after his name surfaced in the Epstein files, The Guardian published a piece detailing accusations from 16 different women spanning nearly 4 decades. More than half of those alleged incidents reportedly involved teenagers, with one woman claiming she was as young as 15 years old at the time. One of those alleged victims also reportedly claimed to have been a victim of Epstein and stated that Copperfield asked her whether she was aware that girls were getting paid to find other girls for Epstein. Copperfield's lawyer responded by saying their client had no knowledge of Epstein's crimes and learned about them the same way the public did, through media coverage. And then someone found the photo. A widely circulated image showed Copperfield in a bathrobe standing close to Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime associate. For many viewers on social media, that image said more than any legal statement ever could. David Copperfield has built his entire career on making impossible things seem real and real things seem to vanish. But this time, the documents are doing the opposite. Most people would never associate professional NASCAR racing with Jeffrey Epstein, but the files reportedly pulled that world directly into the story through driver Brian Vickers, and specifically through the woman he married. In 2015, Vickers married a woman named Sarah Kellen. What many people did not know at the time was that Sarah Kellen's name appeared multiple times inside Epstein's 2008 indictment as a listed co-conspirator. Court filings reportedly allege that she scheduled flights for Epstein and his victims, facilitated massage arrangements, and, according to one victim's account, took photographs of an underage girl. She reportedly avoided criminal prosecution as part of a controversial non-prosecution agreement. Until the files came out, Vickers appeared to have no public ties to Epstein. But according to documents released in the file dump, Vickers himself reportedly had a personal relationship with Epstein that predated and overlapped with his marriage. In 2012, Vickers reportedly forwarded Epstein an email with a subject line that indicated the two were comfortable enough to share graphic adult humor with each other. But perhaps the most widely discussed discovery was an email from 2019, the year Epstein was arrested and died, in which Vickers reportedly sent him a video on Valentine's Day with the message, "Thought you would like this. Happy Valentine's, buddy," followed by a winky face. The contents of that video remain unknown. Vickers and Sarah Kellen reportedly divorced in 2025. When fans began asking questions on social media, he reportedly posted a casual selfie without any response to the controversy whatsoever. Now, not every name in the Epstein files reflects actual wrongdoing, and the case of Tony Hawk is being widely cited as one of the clearest examples of how fast misinformation can travel when a story this explosive breaks. An FBI intake document reportedly detailed a tip from an anonymous individual who claimed to have witnessed Tony Hawk getting married on what she believed was Epstein's island. This exploded on social media. Images of Hawk's 2006 wedding surfaced showing a tropical ceremony on a beach with palm trees. A photographer named Mark Epstein was credited for capturing the event. To many online, that felt like more than enough. But the facts told a different story. Hawk's 2006 wedding reportedly took place in Fiji, thousands of miles from Epstein's private island. The Mark Epstein who photographed the ceremony has no confirmed connection whatsoever to Jeffrey Epstein. Researchers covering the files believe the most likely explanation is that the tipster, as a traumatized child, mixed up two separate events that happened in very close proximity to each other. It is well documented that victims of prolonged childhood trauma frequently experience fragmented memories, particularly when recalling events from a decade or more earlier. Tony Hawk appears to be in the files entirely by accident, and that story serves as an important reminder. Proximity to these documents does not automatically mean proximity to wrongdoing. Woody Allen is a completely different conversation. Allen has carried serious controversy long before any connection to Epstein surfaced. When hundreds of pages of text messages between Allen and Epstein reportedly became public, the reaction from the public was unsurprised but deeply unsettled. The messages reportedly showed the two coordinating dinner plans and maintaining a comfortable, ongoing friendship. Emails between Epstein and Allen's wife reportedly show Epstein referring to Allen's controversies as a witch hunt. Allen reportedly told a publication in 2025 that he attended a dinner with Epstein in 2010 and claimed not to know why Epstein had been incarcerated. He described Epstein as charming and personable. And when asked whether he regretted the relationship after learning the full truth, Allen reportedly said the dinners were fascinating and that as a writer, he found the whole situation interesting, describing Epstein as a nefarious character on his doorstep. For many observers, that framing of a documented predator as a literary subject rather than a human being who caused catastrophic suffering summed up everything people already feared about Woody Allen. Some names surfaced with far less documentation and far more questions. Michael Jackson appeared in the files in the form of a single photograph reportedly taken at a film festival in Palm Beach, where Epstein allegedly asked for the photo. One of Epstein's alleged victims reportedly stated she had met Jackson at Epstein's mansion, but noted that there was no wrongdoing to describe. Justin Bieber's name reportedly appeared in an email from a woman attempting to arrange a meeting between a then 17-year-old Bieber and a younger girl. Bieber also reportedly hired one of Epstein's attorneys for a DUI case. Chris Tucker explained that he encountered Epstein during a humanitarian trip to Africa and did not know whose plane he was boarding. However, emails from after Epstein's 2008 sentencing reportedly show Tucker's team coordinating visits and dinners with Epstein, meaning the relationship did not appear to end with that trip. Leonardo DiCaprio reportedly attended multiple dinners hosted by Epstein. In 2024, DiCaprio denied ever associating with Epstein, And then there are the details that raise more questions than they answer. Perhaps the strangest discovery in the entire document release was a screenshot reportedly showing a missed call from someone saved in a contact list simply as Rihanna. No one has been able to confirm whether this is the global superstar. No one has been able to explain the context. And no one has offered a public explanation. One screenshot, a name, no story attached. And yet it became one of the most discussed details from the entire file release. That is perhaps the best summary of where the Epstein files leave us. Millions of pages, hundreds of names. Some connections that appear deep and deliberate, others that appear entirely coincidental, and a large, unsettling gray area in between, where the truth is somewhere, but clarity is nowhere to be found. The files are out. The names are public. The responses have been issued. But here is the question that will keep people coming back to this story for years. If 3.5 million documents have been released, and we still do not have a complete picture, what exactly is still buried in the ones that have not been made public yet?